Welcome to Talking Technology with VI Labs. At VI Labs, we believe technology is the single greatest enabler for people with sight loss and all disabilities. If you're looking for the latest news and conversation on tech from a more accessible perspective, you've come to the right place.
Yes, indeed you have. Hello everybody and welcome in to Talking Technology with VI Labs, episode number 81 for April 2025. Hope you're keeping well. It is the day before Vision Ireland Community Day. Vision Ireland Community Day is happening tomorrow, which is really exciting. There's going to be loads of different events happening all around the country in our different charity shops and so on. So there's all sorts happening, and I just heard as well, and it creeps up every single year, but Campabilities is happening next week for Campabilities. It creeps up every year. But Campabilities next week. So all of the youngsters, young visually impaired boys and girls will be heading off to camp for the week to take part in a number of different sporting activities. I did that when I was a kid, actually. It's a fantastic experience. And it's great to be able to just meet people in the same boat as you as well, which is always fantastic. So loads going on around Vision Ireland over this week and next week, as always. But there is loads happening on this show as well. We have a packed show coming up for you over the next hour or so. We're going to be taking a look at the Hark AI from Humanware. You may have heard of the Hark reader before, but the Hark AI is a fancy new reading machine for those who are blind or visually impaired. So we'll have a demo of that coming up in just a bit, and we'll have all the latest in tech news as well, including a brand new screen reader for the Nintendo Switch 2. Very, very exciting. So lots to come over the next little while. But hey, a reminder that we don't want to just talk to ourselves. We want to talk to you. We want to hear your opinions, be that on the tech news, on some technology you've tried, any thoughts you have. We'd always love to hear from you, and there are loads of ways that you can get in touch. So if you would like to join the conversation, as I said, there are many ways that you can do so. The most easy, I suppose, or the most manageable, or the classic good old-fashioned way, is you can send us an email. The email address that you need there is content@vi.ie. That's content@vi.ie. Or we would absolutely love to hear your voice, share your perspective. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note if you'd like. The number you need for that is 086 199 0011. That's 086 199 0011. And a reminder for those of you listening around the world, if you're listening internationally, you can get in touch on WhatsApp using our country code. The country code for Ireland, in case you didn't know, is 353. So it's 353 86 199 0011. That's how that works. And either way, whether you're listening in Ireland or around the world, we would absolutely love to hear from you. So, joining me to chat about this week's main topic, all the way from County Kilkenny, it's Mr. Joe Lonigan. Joe, how are you?
I'm good, David. How are you keeping?
Not too bad at all, Joe. So, Joe, the Hark AI, a reading machine, it's basically a fancy scanner. I suppose before we demo the Hark AI, have you ever used a reading machine before, a reading scanner? What do you think their value is in the era of phone apps, I suppose?
Yes, I've used lots of them actually in the past. Mostly personally, probably years ago, but I've also demoed them to service users that would like to use them. So I've used the Read Easy Evolve. It's probably not a flatbed one, but it is a read alone scanner that takes a picture of something. You just press the button on the right and it takes the picture and gives you back the result. I've also personally owned a Scan R, I think it used to be called. But that's a number of years ago now. It's similar to the Hark AI, but without AI, if you know what I mean. So, but it did do OCR on the document. You close the lid. It's a bit like your scanner in an office. You just put the A4 sheet into it, and then close the lid, and it scans the A4 sheet of printed paper and gives you a result on a loudspeaker. And you also had options to save the document and next page, and scan as many pages as you want and save it under the one document and that kind of thing. It was handy. It was great for post and things like that. Before we had the mobile devices in our hand, put it that way, or the mobile apps such as Scene AI and Be My AI and all those other ones that I get in trouble for not mentioning. But yeah.
I think the value in these, I think, is like for you or for me, I think I'm quite comfortable using the apps at this point. But I think the value that exists in some of these devices is really for those who, for whatever reason, can't or don't want to use a phone for this. And there's a lot to be said for just having a dedicated piece of technology that can just sit on the countertop, isn't there?
Yeah, well, there is a lot to be said for that, especially if you have the space maybe to have one in your hallway or on an office desk, maybe in the corner of a sitting room, or something that you don't even have to pull out a phone or an iPad or anything. You just leave that device on or turn it on and then put your post underneath it. It might be handy in those occasions. It might be also handy in an office space, or possibly just for reading documents. You know what I mean? I think, or even education. It could be handy for doing those kind of things rather than using a phone. Some of the results from the phone can be more unpredictable as well, whereas this is flat bed. You line your pages up with the corners and you can't really go wrong. You know what I mean? So it has its advantages. I know what disadvantages are. It's not really mobile, but the advantages are the results usually are very accurate.
Absolutely. So I suppose you mentioned a few other options out there. There is devices like the Read Easy, the Read Easy Evolve. There's the iReader. There are a few other options, but the device we're taking a look at today is one of the newer devices. It is called the Hark AI. And I have the Hark AI in the office here. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump to a recording of a demo of the Hark AI, just so you can get an idea for what it's like, what it feels like, how it sounds, and what exactly the Hark AI can do. So here's what happened when I had a play with the really cool Hark AI earlier this morning. So in front of me here on the table is a really nifty little device called the Hark AI. And the Hark AI is a product from Humanware. There are two models of this. There's the Hark AI and there's the Hark Reader. Physically, they are both pretty much the exact same. And if I try and describe this to you, it's a relatively flat device. And there's like an arch that goes over the kind of bed of the device. So the bed of the device is flat. It's maybe an inch high. And then over that, there's a little arch that folds up or down, depending on whether you have the device open or closed. On the front of the device, there are two buttons that can control the pause and the play and all of that. There's a little volume slider that you can move left or right to adjust the volume on the device. And there are buttons on the left and right for power and adjusting the speaking rate respectively. So I suppose, what does the device do? At its core, it's a reading machine, and it's a really nifty little reading machine. So you could have this, for example, on your countertop at home. And all you basically have to do, I've got it plugged in at the moment, but it can also work on battery. But all you have to do is you lift the arch and straight away it should pretty much start to speak to you.
Please place your document.
There we go. So please place your document. And now underneath the arch, so the arch is now kind of upstanding, if you will. And under that, I've just got basically a flat bed in which I can place a document. So I'm going to do that now. And as soon as I place the document, it should pretty much start reading quite quickly. You'll hear it take a photo, and then it should start to read pretty quickly. So I'm going to place the document just for speed in 3, 2, 1. There we go.
The Big Keys Keyboard for Those with Low Vision by David Redmond, written the 3rd of April 2025. Sometimes just making something bigger can make a big difference. Typing on a touch screen can be difficult, especially for those with low vision.
And I'm going to remove that document.
Users can use over. Please place your document.
And there we go. It tells me to please place the document again. So I can increase the speed. So those buttons are located on the right of the device.
Speed increased. Speed increased.
And I can also decrease it. There's a down arrow button.
Speed decreased.
But I prefer a faster speaking rate.
Speed increased. Speed increased.
There we go. And as I said, you can adjust the volume using buttons in the center. There's the play buttons and that in the front, and the power is on the left. But you can also use those buttons to do other things. So for example, if I hold the button on the left and then the down arrow button, it should...
Battery 39%.
Battery 39%. There we go. And I can also, by using that combination just with the up arrow, I can also go into the system menu.
Menu, Wi-Fi, connected, Vision Island staff,
And there we go.
1926 language.
There's language. Options.
About.
There's about, which is where you can also go to install updates.
Exit.
And there's an exit button, and I'm going to press the play pause button to exit the menu.
Exiting menu.
There we go. So quite a neat little system. Again, I just place the document underneath. Doesn't matter what way I place it. And...
The Big Keys Keyboard for Those with Low Vision by David Redmond, written the 3rd of April 2025. Sometimes just making something bigger can make a big difference.
And there we go. That's an article
Please place your document.
From our Tech on Tap newsletter. So as I mentioned earlier, there's 2 versions of this device. There's the Hark AI and there's the Hark Reader. So everything I've done to this point is stuff that you can do with the Hark Reader. That's the cheaper of the 2 models. I say cheaper. It's still... incredibly expensive as assistive technology is. We'll talk about that in a bit. But what the Hark AI can do is when you're connected to the internet, you can place something under the document that might be, under the scanner, I should say, that might be visual, and you can then hold a button on the device. You can hold the play pause button, and you'll actually get a AI generated description of that. So here I have a standard Vision Ireland Services leaflet. So I could place this under, and I will get the device as normal will read out the text-based information. So that should all be standard enough. Let's just pop underneath here.
Dash Pet AEB9 Services Ireland Tow Van. End of text.
But as you can tell there, it wasn't able to read that particularly well. So what I can do, and the reason for that is because this document is probably quite visual and has some imagery on it and so on. So what I can do now is I can hold down the play pause button, and it won't need to take another image, but what it will do is I'll hear a ding. It's kind of like that ding that you hear when a brailer gets to the end of the line. And when you hear that, then that means it's going to beep for a few seconds and it will give me an AI description. And I wait for a second.
Image description. The image appears to show a document or service description, with the words Vision TRE services prominently displayed. The image also contains two faces of individuals, though they are not identified. Based on the information provided, this does not appear to be a bill, but rather some kind of vision or eye care related service. Vision Treland services Vision Island Vision Van. End of text.
So there you can kind of get an idea of what it is. It's not perfect, and this is something I touched on in the review that I wrote of the device for our Tech on Tap newsletter, is that the AI features aren't perfect. They will give you kind of the best kind of hint, but they will also give you some irrelevant information. Like they will tell you, oh, it's not a bill, but there was never any insinuation that this was a bill. You know, if it's a bill, then tell me it's a bill. But if it's not a bill, I don't need to know that it's not a bill, if that makes sense. Another thing I noticed it doing that with was receipts. It would often tell me, you know, it doesn't appear to be a receipt. Or sometimes it would even say it might be a receipt, but it wasn't a receipt, it was a form. So the AI is hit and miss, and there you noticed as well, it wasn't particularly able to clearly read Vision Ireland. It came up with Vision Trireland or something there like that. And the text on this document is quite clear. It's not exactly a difficult document for it to interpret, or at least it shouldn't be. So the AI features on the device aren't incredible, but what I do really like about the device is the fact that it's compact. It can sit on on your countertop. It's really, really fast. And when you're done with the device, all you have to do is you take the kind of arch of the device and you just close it down towards the base. So I just close it. And there we go. I don't have to do anything more. I can keep it plugged in. I can just leave it here, and let's say I get a letter in the post. All I have to do is just open it up.
Please place your document.
And it's ready to go again. It's as simple as that. There's a lot to like about this device. There really is. I think the hardware for the Hark Reader and Hark AI is really probably the best we've seen in this space for reading machines to this point. It's able to read documents quickly. It's able to, the buttons are tactile, but you don't even have to press the buttons to get it to read. I just place a document under and it'll read it automatically. You only need the buttons if you want to make adjustments, or you want to use the AI features if you have the Hark AI model. That's what I really like. The AI on the Hark AI, though, does need some improvement. Other things I noted as well is that the device can describe money in its AI mode, but I would much prefer if they just integrated a really quick, snappy money reader into the device. And just little updates like that really could be over-the-air updates for this device that really could make a massive difference for people. So do I like the Hark AI? I do. Do I think it's worth it? For some people, maybe. I think there are going to be people who, for whatever reason, aren't able to use a phone, or aren't able to use some of the apps that are out there for this kind of thing. But this device also doesn't do anything that you can't do with a phone. So when you consider the price, which we'll talk about in a minute, it's a good device, very expensive device, but it's also a device that could be improved with a few updates. So I would hope that Humanware will continue to develop the Hark AI and Hark Reader. There's certainly potential for it. So do I think it has its place in the market? Absolutely. But is it for everyone? No, it's not. It's for a subset of people who are able to afford it, first of all, but also who probably aren't able to use a phone for whatever reason. For them, this is a really, really strong device. And I think Humanware have, generally speaking, done a really, really good job. And there you have it. So that is a basic overview of the Humanware Hark AI. And as I say, there are two models of the device, the Hark AI, which is the model you heard there, or the Hark Reader, which just doesn't have the ability to do the AI stuff. It can just do the reading. That model is slightly cheaper. And I do want to bring Joe in here in a second as I start to discuss the price. But before I do that, Joe, this technology does tend to be quite expensive. The Hark AI, it comes in, and this is excluding VAT, at approximately €2,350. What are your thoughts on the product, first of all, but also that price tag, because it is quite high?
Well, first of all, I suppose I have to pick myself up off the ground because it is expensive. Then I know. Look, you have to argue. Maybe this is a product that somebody wants, but I suppose look, 2,300. Yeah, my phone does a lot of the same things as it does, but as I said, not everybody wants to use a smartphone, I suppose, or not everybody has a smartphone. Some people choose not to have one. Some people just don't have, I suppose, they just don't use one. You know what I mean? For whatever reason that might be, it's unfair to pick out any reasons. But yeah, it is expensive, I suppose, and I know I'd probably get 20% of that back if it's not already attached before you purchase it through the VAT 61A scheme through revenue, because it is an accessible device for people with disabilities, purpose built for people that are vision impaired. So that's one thing to note. But yeah, you're paying a lot of money for, I suppose, the technology that's in it, the research and development that went into it, and the hardware that's there. It's probably not cheap to make a specific device like that, you know. So there is a few arguments to be made on behalf of the company as well. But yeah, it is an expensive device. You just want to make sure you're getting proper use of it, and that's really what you need. They're being assessed, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. I think and that 2,350 figure, that is excluding VAT. So that will be, even if you do your VAT 61A form from revenue, which is always a good bet. Anytime you're purchasing any kind of assistive technology, always a good bet.
Thanks for clearing that up, David. Actually, yes, I did mention it there, and before you had mentioned that. So yeah, thanks for clearing that one up. So yeah, that's before VAT. Okay, it's more expensive than that then. So you just want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row and get your VAT back on that.
Absolutely, because it is extremely pricey. To some people, I do think it's worth it. And the hardware, I genuinely think is superb. But as I think you heard there with that demo, I think there is definitely scope for updates here, Joe, isn't there?
Oh, definitely scope for updates, as you said, even in the AI areas there. And currency, as you said, you can only do that, as you think you said, only in AI mode. Yeah, a lot of those things, they could be automatic. It should be able to recognise when you do certain things straight away, especially for that kind of price range. Yeah, and over-the-air updates. Is it allowed to take over-the-air updates, or do you have to stick a USB?
It can do over-the-air updates. I don't know whether Humanware are going to actually give it over-the-air updates. They haven't been too specific on that as of yet, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, if they can do over-the-air updates, I'm sure it will eventually need one. You know, AI is changing all the time, apart from anything else. So that will need to be faster and keep up with anything that's available in the cloud. So yeah, if that's possible, I'm sure it will be getting them version 1.1 or whatever that'll be.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do like it. I think there's a lot to like. But I do think there's also scope for those improvements. At the moment, with the money reader, like you can hold money under it and you can take a picture with the AI, but rather than it telling you, oh, it's a $5, it's literally doing a standard image description. So in my case, it was telling me that's a hairy hand holding a €5 note. It's kind of like thanks a million.
Again, too much detail, So that's where the whole AI, Be My AI, and all that kind of stuff. I suppose there's arguments there. Is there too much detail being given now? We want a description. We want to know what the product is, whether it's just a can of Batter's beans. We don't want to know it's a can of Batter's beans that have a barcode on the side and the can is orange and the background, the door in the background is grey and
there's a happy
whatever.
medium,
you know what I mean?
Isn't there?
There is a happy medium. Just sometimes just too much information, and then there's just the information that you want right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we want to be able to, like a sighted person sometimes, just scan something with our virtual eyes, we'll say, our camera or whatever, and just get the information. Whereas like anybody else would. What I wanted to ask you, David, what about it was, I haven't put it in my hands yet or got it in my hands yet. How big did you say it was?
Yeah, I suppose it's in terms of kind of the area it takes up, it's probably the size of an A4 sheet. So just about, it's actually quite compact, especially compared to some of the devices that have come before it. It's about the size of an A4 sheet. And then when it's folded down, so when the arch is kind of folded down, the base of the device is about an inch high maybe, and then another inch or two on the arch. So it's not massive. And then I suppose when you lift up the arc of it, I suppose that goes maybe like 30 centimeters, if even high. It's not a particularly, like, you can actually just fold it down and it's quite lightweight. You can put it in its carry case and just take it around if you needed to use it on a battery, which is really nice,
Excellent. And is the result speed satisfactory for you, David, as a person that's used to using other apps on your phone, or maybe quicker systems or anything like that?
Look, I mean, for me, I'm going to continue using the likes of Be My Eyes or Seeing AI or whatever. Like, being realistic, I'm not going to spend that kind of money on a device like this. But I do generally like it. Like, it's very fast. Like, you heard that there, like, and that wasn't edited for speed at all. You just place the document under, and crucially, you don't have to press any buttons. It detects the document on its own and it just scans it. And that's
really handy.
Great,
That's so handy. Yeah, I remember I had a product called ZoomX, and it was a digital camera that sits on a little tripod that you attach to your laptop, and you just press the space bar, it snaps it and reads it back within like 2 seconds. It was really good. I don't know why that product didn't make it as very popular, but it was probably, it wasn't as expensive as that particular one, but the speed of that was really impressive at the time. Didn't do AI, but the OCR was amazing. So I was just curious, were you happy with the speed that it came back with? I suppose productivity-wise, it sounds like a great product.
Absolutely. We've come a long way from the likes of, like, I remember in school using Kurzweil. Were you a big fan of Kurzweil, Joe?
I wouldn't say a big fan. I was a fan because there mightn't have been that many other options at the time. But I suppose where it let itself down was, again, the price. For software, it was around €1,000,
Yeah.
And that's the same price as a screen reader. And a lot of the screen readers nowadays can do what Kurzweil could have done, if you know what I mean. It's built. There's things built into JAWS now and stuff like Picture Smart and OCR. You can OCR documents, if the document is scanned to you or sent to you by a solicitor or something, like, They're not thinking about our vision impairment. They're just getting we'll say, a legal file and putting it in PDF and sending it to you. And at least with JAWS, you can OCR that document now and get it read back to you in fairly quick time, I suppose. So, yeah, all those things are built in now. As you said, things have come a long way in 10 years. Things have come a long way now in 2 years because of the addition of AI.
Yeah, and I think it's only going to, hopefully in time get cheaper. I think it's going to head in the right direction. So all we can do is hope. But for what it is, that is the current state of the Hark AI. I'm not going to be purchasing. I'm sure some people, will find a use case for it and will have very valid use cases for it. Joe, for yourself, not something for you. I guess you're happier with the phones and stuff still.
Well, no, personally, I'm happy with the system I have going for my needs. But I see there's definitely a cohort of people that love products like that. People that don't use touchscreen devices or smartphones. Even some people that use smartphones but still don't like lining up cameras with documents and getting half the picture and all that kind of crack, and love to get consistent results. I think the Hark AI reader, definitely an option, an expensive option, but a really good option.
Absolutely. So Joe, thank you so much for that. If you at home would like to tell us your thoughts on the Hark AI or Hark Reader, maybe you've tried it, maybe you think it's perfect for you, or maybe it's perfect for someone you know. We'd love if you would share your thoughts. Tell us what you think of the product and why you think it would be better for you than some of the apps. We'd be really interested to hear your perspectives on that. You can send us a voice note using our WhatsApp number. It's 086 199 0011. Or if you would prefer, you can send us an email to content@vi.ie. An interesting product for sure, and we would love to hear your thoughts on it. News is next, but before we have news, we have an ad break to take, so please do not go absolutely anywhere. We'll be back in just a second with some Talking Technology news. See you then.
Talking Technology with VI Labs continues after this. Don't go anywhere.
Loneliness affects many of us, but for those with sight loss, the barriers can be even greater.
That's why on Wednesday, April 9th, we're coming together for the Vision Ireland Community Day to build a more inclusive, supportive community.
Host an event, visit a Vision Ireland charity shop or donate.
If you're unable to host, pop into one of our stores, have a browse, meet our team and support by donating in-store.
Let's create welcoming spaces to connect, learn about sight loss and ensure everyone feels valued and included.
Visit visionireland.ie to get involved.
At Vision Ireland, we're here to support people with sight loss through every stage of life. From helping children thrive in school to guiding young adults into further education and empowering career success, our tailored services make a difference. Call Vision Ireland today at 1800 911 250 or make a referral through our website at www.vi.ie to learn how we can support you or your loved one on their journey.
This ad break is over.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, indeed it is. And a reminder, the Vision Ireland Community Day, lots of exciting events happening in a number of Vision Ireland charity shops around the country tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day of release. So do go pay them a visit, check it out, see what is happening in your area and have some fun. That's what it's all about. But for now, though, it's over to Daniel for the latest in Talking Technology news.
This is Talking Technology News.
So, with your latest Talking Technology news, I'm Daniel Gunn. Gaming company Nintendo have announced that the Switch 2 will be their first console to include a screen reader. The new console is set for release in June and brings many of the same accessibility features as the original Switch alongside the new screen reader function. Describing the new feature on their website, Nintendo say This feature reads out on-screen text in the home menu and system settings. In addition to on-screen text, the feature reads out information that assists with operations, such as the cursor's position. You can also set different voice types, reading speeds, and volume levels. It's currently unclear if the feature will work in the Nintendo Store or third-party apps, but it does sound like a move in the right direction. Nintendo have released a short clip of the screen reader in action, so here is a taste of what it sounds like.
Text to speech. Use text to speech. On. Toggle button. Vertical list. 9 of 11. Reads out text content that appears on screen. Pressing one of the control sticks will restart the readout. Not all screens support screen reader functionality. Voice type. Type 1. Button. 10 of 11. Type 1. Selected. Button. Vertical list. 1 of 2. Type 2. Not selected. Button. 2 of 2.
Text to speech. Voice type. Type 2. Button. Vertical list. 10 of 11.
Now, we can hope that Nintendo start to bring some accessibility features to their games, as this could mark a massive leap forward for inclusive gaming. So, have you ever tried a screen reader on a gaming console? Please let us know your thoughts with a WhatsApp voice note. In other news, the National Disability Authority and Consumer Protection Commission are looking for views on draft guidelines related to the upcoming European Accessibility Act. The European Accessibility Act takes effect at the end of June this year and aims to ensure that online services, and indeed some services in the real world, are accessible to those with disabilities. The new public consultation relates to draft guidelines on how the Consumer Protection Commission will enforce the new rules on micro-enterprises or small businesses. While it seems reasonable to expect massive banks and technology companies to ensure accessibility, how should the rules affect really small businesses with only a few employees? The National Disability Authority have released draft guidelines, and businesses and individuals are now being asked for their views. We've included a link to the consultation in the description of this episode, so if you're interested, you can find out more details there. The consultation will remain open until April 25th. And finally, for now, what if you didn't need your phone to help you navigate? Apple are reportedly working on AirPods with embedded cameras that could launch in 2027. It's very early days for this rumoured new technology, but it is being suggested that the new AirPods, possibly the AirPods Pro 4, could use cameras to get an idea of the user's surroundings. On a basic level, they might just use this to better adapt sound, but what if you could use AI apps or get descriptions using just your AirPods? There are regularly rumours about what Apple is working on, and of course, only some rumours come true. But it's an interesting idea. Apple are also reportedly working on smart glasses, perhaps set to rival Meta's smart glasses. Technology is always moving forward, and it can be fun to look ahead. And that's it for now. If you want more technology news, why not check out the technology news section of the Vision Ireland website. There you'll find lots of great articles and useful information. But for now, though, it's back to you, David.
Thank you, Daniel. Yes, the Switch 2 getting its own screen reader. I think that's really exciting. And I know, like, some of the, like, there is still a lot that is unknown about this new screen reader. But, Daniel, you work on the children's team a bit, working with students. Does gaming come up regularly in those conversations? Or would you often hear from young people or anyone about gaming?
Yes and no. I suppose, there's your home TV set up in consoles and all that. So some younger members stick to those. Obviously, then you have the games on iPads, iPhones, and Samsung phones as well. But we don't really get much queries in relation to the accessibility of those games, so we don't.
I wonder, is that in some respects a byproduct of the fact that, traditionally, I kind of guess it was almost assumed that, someone wants to play FIFA with their friends. Oh, well, obviously that isn't accessible, Is that part of the problem here?
Perhaps it's something that doesn't come across where we work with children a lot. It's mostly to do with access to educational end of things, or access to different apps and social media and things like that on phones and tablets. Games, we don't get the questions on the games, and you think you would, but I don't see much in the lines of gaming coming up. And you'd probably wonder then, are people not engaging in games because they're not accessible by and large or at all, really. So are they just being skipped over, and maybe different forms of entertainment take center stage in that case? You would you couldn't safely assume so, but you would hope that it's not the case. But if it is the case, you can understand why.
Yeah, for sure. Joe, we were having a conversation about this yesterday, and you mentioned to me that, you used to play some different games once upon a time when you had better vision. Do you think these steps, are steps in the right direction? Do you think we'll ever get to a point where gaming for those who are visually impaired or blind will be truly accessible?
Will we ever get to a point where it's truly accessible? That's a good question, because I'm like the FIFA and stuff like that. I'm not sure. Like someone that's lost their vision and had full sight, they might like to get involved in games like that, or Tiger Woods golf or something like that. Would there be enough description for someone to play games like that? So I don't think we'll ever get to the stage where it'll be fully accessible. And to go back to the point you were asking Daniel about there, I was going to come in, was why is there not as much engagement from that younger cohort of people? And one of the theories I have is a lot of the games that have full accessibility are over 18s, are for the older age group. For example, The Last of Us, even the Spider-Man games are over 12s, some of them, or is it over 15s, I forget. But they're not for the 8-year-olds and the 10-year-olds, you know what I mean? And then there is Mortal Kombat, and that's another 18s game. On play, I mentioned some of these on PlayStation. Some of the driver games may not appeal to some of the younger people either. I know there's a famous YouTuber there, Ross Minor, who plays a rally game on the Xbox, and that may not appeal to someone that's very young, where driving probably comes more into your eater once you get into the teenage years and you want to be a boy racer, whereas a younger person of 7, 8, 9, 10 may not want to do that yet, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and arguably cars even maybe less of interest to visually impaired people, and that's pure speculation on my part. I've no facts to back that up, but, for me, I suppose, for me, driving was never going to be an option, and maybe I didn't pay as much attention to it as a result. Like when I was growing up and I did have slightly better vision, I was able to play the likes of Mario games and stuff like that. And I know my vision will be beyond that now, but I do think it will be really exciting to envision a stage where we could get to a point where games like that and games for younger people in particular, but everybody, could be inclusive. I think that's really exciting,
Yeah, it is. It is really exciting. I think one of the areas that is exciting for me on the Nintendo and these other consoles is the access to the other apps that are on the devices, whether they be chat apps or YouTube. Even to use YouTube with just we'll say a joystick and an X button or a triangle, square, a circle, that kind of thing. I think that'd be a really easy way to use YouTube, and might be a handy way, especially if someone had a screen reader on it that a vision impaired child would like using it. And they're lovely to hold in your hand as well, those really nice, Nintendo Switches.
Yeah, they're really tactile as well. Do you have a Switch in the house, Daniel?
Yeah, do. It sits in its cradle quite a bit, actually. There's a cradle, you can take it out of its cradle and go solo with it, or you can throw it in the cradle and have it on your TV. So it does sit on a cradle quite a bit at a time. Used quite a bit. Yeah, they're a decent machine. They're a decent value for their money when you're when you're buying them. On the good quality games on them. So can't knock the Nintendo Switch at all.
Yeah, and it is going to be interesting. The Switch 2. It's coming out in June. So I don't know. We were talking earlier before we started recording about wouldn't it be cool if they released voices like Mario, obviously an iconic Nintendo character, as a screen reader option on the Nintendo Switch. And you were mentioning, Joe, that they have Mickey Mouse as an option, not for voiceover, but you can use Mickey Mouse to read the time, and Minnie Mouse actually on the Apple Watch. Is there a market for people to have, I suppose, iconic characters as screen reader voices? Is this an untapped market that nobody's really noticed?
There's probably a novelty market for it, maybe, but once the novelty wears off, I think the person, if you're an experienced screen reader user like myself, you will still go back to the old reliable, which is Eloquence, or any of the top 5 favorite voices on VoiceOver on your iPhone or your Android smartphone, Galaxies, or whatever you might be using. So you will end up going back because of the pronunciations and the important things that a good screen reader voice does. Where it is going to come into its own, though, is with AI and the fact that AI voices are being used now, or starting to be taught about in the use of certain reading apps and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think Joe will get to a stage where you can get AI just to you read it a few lines, and next thing it'll do a whole screen reader voice for you. Yourself.
Yeah, there is that capability actually in Apple where you use personal voice, but you may not be. You might be a bit freaked out by listening to your own voice all the time too. So I think, but there is Speech Central has an app where their TTS voices are amazing. They use different tones. I actually love listening to voices that have tones, AI voices with tones in them and feelings and that kind of thing. It's better than just listening to your bland smart speaker voice reading back a Kindle book or something. I'd rather if it did have the capability to put artificial intelligence tones in. I suppose novelty where I did use novelty voices in the past was on the smart speaker, maybe at Christmas time and things like that. But other than that, I don't think I'd be a purchaser of novelty voices. But there might be. I'd love to hear what other people have to say. Maybe send in a voice note on the subject, and let us know what you think out there.
If you did have to use one iconic character, not an Eloquence or a Moira or a Karen now, but if you had to use one iconic character for the rest of your life as a screen reader user, who would you be picking, Joe?
We'll go for some more Irish, apart from the usual Morgan Freeman or whatever. We'll go for someone local that might be always famous, might be famous to everybody. I did have in my head a while ago, when the famous Charlie Bird voice was going around, I said that'd be an amazing screen reader voice. But I'll go back a bit further. Gay Byrne, I'd put him on my screen reader.
Gay Byrne, I like it. Yeah. No, do you know what? I'll second that. I think a great suggestion. I'm sure there are lots of people in Cork would have Roy Keene screen readers, which I don't know is that a good idea.
Might be a bit too much attitude for me, I think.
Maybe,
yeah. Too snappy.
Yeah, he'd be giving you your voiceover hints, and it'd be a bit of aggression in there.
Sarcasm and all,
Yeah.
No.
Awesome stuff. Daniel, I do want to, and feel free to send in voice notes on that. We'd love to know who would you have as your, fun, silly screen reader voice. Don't take that too seriously, but we'd love to know who would you have. Daniel, I do want to ask you as well. There is some updates in the Samsung world this week.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, so Samsung finally are rolling out Android 15, which will also be bundled with its One UI 7 interface. So that's already hitting the premium end of their phones. Now, they did launch their new S25s and that back in, when was it? The end of January, and the S25 Plus and the S25 Ultra, they already have the One UI 7, which essentially is, for anyone who's not very familiar, One UI is the interface that sits on top of Android. It gives us its Samsung kind of feel to the phone. So, sometimes you pick up a different manufacturer's phone if you're used to Samsung and say, the icons are slightly different and the menus are slightly different. That's because Samsung does its own One UI, which sits on top of Android. Android is still running there in the background. So, so when are the new updates coming? So if you've got an S24, S24 Plus, S24 Ultra, the Z Fold 6, Z Fold 5, Galaxy Tab 10 Plus or 10 Ultra, the S23, S23 Plus, S23 Ultra, or the Samsung S24 FE. They are coming this month, and some of them already will have got it this week. Your S24 and Z Fold 6 and Z Flip 6 have already got the One UI 7 this week, April 7th. If it hasn't hit your phone yet, just maybe go into the settings menu, go down to the third from the bottom is update and software updates, and check that out. Should be along soon. Then in May, the Z Fold 4 Flip 4s, Tab S9, S9 Ultras, the SE, S23 FE. Sorry, I keep confusing that model with the iPhone. Z Fold 3, A34, A35, the S22, the S21, the Tab 8, and the A16. They're all coming in May, so it seems to be kind of a group of phones by group of phones. And then in June, I suppose, the A73, A53, A33, 25, 24, and 15. So the older phones, the kind of budget to budget phones or mid-range phones from Samsung, they'll be coming in June with a lot more of their tablets there as well. So that's a lot to watch out for if you're a Samsung owner. There's going to be new improvements in Android 15. You're going to have the better battery life, the ability to secure up your fitness data. There's also an option to hide apps. So somebody, you can have an app vault or a lock away that's hidden apps, and you can't get into it without your security. So that might be useful for some people. Maybe, somebody who has kind of work related stuff on their phone, apps or whatever. Yeah, or you want to hide apps from kids or something like that. So plenty of reasons that you might use that. So there's good features in Android 15. So yeah, just wait for that to come if you're a Samsung owner. Hopefully it comes soon for you. It depends on the model you own, though.
Awesome stuff. And Daniel, I do need to ask the big question. Have you got your update yet?
No, so mine should be hopefully next week.
Oh, next week? Oh,
I'm on the S23, so I have an S23, so I have to wait a little bit longer.
Oh, fair enough. Well, hopefully when it does come, it will be pretty good. Joe, exciting to get updates like this. It's always fun to get new updates for devices. Always welcome improvements, aren't there?
Mm.
Yeah, well, of course, it's always welcome improvements. I just thought Daniel would never stop listing off phones there.
Yeah, I was getting a feel for what it would be like to have Daniel either as an auctioneer or, like a what do they call them? The commentators on like horse racing, like Aintree and stuff.
Yeah.
The A23, A22, A40. It's great.
Yeah, but no, it is great to have updates on the phones. I suppose that's what's wrong with Android. It's just such an amount or a list of choice as regards phones. That it's a good and a bad thing. In one way, it's good that you have such a choice. In the other way, it's confusing for the consumer to know which. We all know the best one is probably one of the more expensive ones, but which is the best middle ground phone to go for? So that's a tough choice for any consumer out there. But it's great to see the updates coming, David. Yes,
absolutely.
And in that as well, like the TalkBack users, image description is going to get much better. Your Gemini is going to be integrated into the TalkBack.
Gemini Nano.
So you're going to have your image descriptions a lot better. So it's great to see all this coming along. And like I suppose it would be fair to say Samsung is probably one of the biggest share of the market in Ireland when it comes to smartphones. So yeah, it's definitely definitely worth highlighting that. And also the list of phones there goes to show the amount of phones that Samsung do release, but it also shows that they're looking after people who bought phones over the last good few years. So the model list that I've read out there goes back quite a few years with some models. So it's great to see that technology is being kept alive, because it's not being made redundant because it won't take newer software.
Daniel, what's the story with Gemini? Is it any good? What have you used it for as regards so far AI?
Yeah, so with Gemini, like the talks are that it's eventually just going to be in place of Google Assistant full stop. I've used it, I suppose, for placing calls and doing text messages and all that. It is good. Yeah, it is good. It was a little bit flaky when it came first, real first. Initial deployment of it was a bit flaky, but it seems to settle down quite a bit now. I'd still like to see it integrated more into the phones in, being able to ask it to do stuff. Like ask it to turn on and off TalkBack, just like Siri can turn on and off voiceover. That's still not there yet. But I suppose Google will turn around and say, well, you can assign 2 keys to do that, which would be your side buttons.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Can it play the Talking Technology podcast from VI Labs?
That I'll have to test and get back to you.
Well, there you go. We'll have to report back on the next podcast.
Absolutely.
Daniel, thank you so much for that. And Joe, thank you also. And speaking of Talking Technology with VI Labs, that's another episode done. Thank you so much for listening to episode 81. Hope you've enjoyed it. A reminder that if you would like, you can send us your views on any of the topics we discussed, or anything indeed we didn't discuss. You can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 086 199 0011, or you can send us an email to content@vi.ie. But for now, thank you so much for listening. If you're doing something for Vision Ireland Community Day tomorrow, enjoy it. Hope you have some fun. And we will be back in 2 weeks' time, all going to plan for another episode of Talking Technology with VI Labs. See you then.
Thanks for listening to the Talking Technology podcast with VI Labs. If you'd like to support our show, please visit vi.ie/donate. Talking Technology is proudly sponsored by IA Labs, the market leader in digital accessibility services. IA Labs, digital inclusion, your legal obligation.